What's up, guys? We are the Airtime Misfits, and you are listening to the Airtime Misfits podcast, episode 2. We really appreciate you guys checking out our podcast. If you haven't done so already, make sure you check out episode 1, where we discussed Jaga Lake. I'm your host, Adam, alongside Nick.
What's up?
Today, we have a fun episode. We're going to be discussing Jazzland / Six Flags New Orleans.
Stay tuned. So we're talking today about Jazzland / Six Flags New Orleans. This park opened in 2000, and obviously, as we all know, it only lived for about 5 years. During this park's short life, it got a good collection of coasters, 6 to be exact, and 2 of those have since been relocated. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But Adam, just in your initial research, and really, I guess we were both alive when this park closed, and we I remember hearing about it,
Yeah.
when I was an enthusiast, as a younger enthusiast. What were your first impressions on the park as a whole prior to it being washed away?
So I think you and I, neither of us were able to visit the park in its short life. Doing research about it, I learned a lot about it. For instance, it opened as Jazzland in 2000. For some reason in my mind, I thought Jazzland was around a lot longer, but
Yeah.
it was only around for 2 years before Six Flags came in and bought the park.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. It's too bad that Jazzland wasn't able to survive, and then let alone Six Flags taking it over, and then that didn't last long either, unfortunately.
Yeah. If you listen to last week's episode, we kind of ripped into Six Flags a little bit because they're kind of notorious for taking something good and ruining it. However, when they took ownership in 2002, this park's demise was not on them. We can honestly say
No, right.
Flags' fault, as you
They
all
didn't
know.
they didn't get enough time to ruin it.
Right, yeah. Had Katrina come in like 2008, there probably would have been some bad investment
Right.
thrown in there. But yeah, in 2005, obviously, Six Flags had just owned the park for 3 years at that point. And yeah, there just wasn't enough time to ruin anything. In fact, they put in 2 new coasters. They put in Batman the Ride. Yes. They came from Japan. And as we all know, now that is Goliath at Fiesta, Texas.
Yep.
One of the 12,000 Goliaths in the Six Flags chain.
The Batman clones, yeah.
Yes.
And the clone of the name and clone of the ride, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of Fiesta, Texas, Jester came in from Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. It was once Joker's Revenge. This coaster has a special place in my heart, as it was one of the first coasters I ever remember really admiring back when I was really young. So this is a fun coaster. It is one of 2 Vekoma Hurricanes ever built that operated completely backwards.
Yeah, that's really cool. And actually, when it was at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, I wasn't really aware of that park until recently, until like the last, 4 or 5 years. But growing up, we spent most of our time in the summer going to Cedar Point or Six Flags Great America. But like talking to you more about that coaster, what was it called at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas?
It's called Joker's Revenge.
Yeah, Joker's Revenge. You were the one that was telling me about it, and like to check out the POV and like the walkthrough of the queue and everything, because it had like a really cool funhouse queue. And then the ride was really cool, and like you said, it was one of 2 in America or the world.
In the world. The second one is still operating, I believe, and it's in France. And that one operates going forward, or normal, I guess.
Right. So yeah, Six Flags, once they took ownership of Jazzland, they moved what was the Joker ride at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. They moved it to New Orleans, renamed it Jester, but they ran it backwards.
Yes, yeah, they still ran it backwards. It ran backwards as Joker's Revenge and continued to do so in New Orleans. And
Oh, so did it run backwards?
fortunately,
It ran backwards in Texas as well?
yes, yes, it
Oh,
did. Yep.
okay.
Yeah, that was its big. That was kind of its big selling point because I
Oh,
think,
okay.
well, yeah, when it was first released in '96, I've read accounts. People really were like, "Wow, this ride sucks," but it's kind of cool that it goes backwards. Like it's a
Yeah,
Vekoma, you don't expect a whole lot, but
I can't imagine riding a Vekoma coaster backwards.
it would be very disorienting, jarring.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a
just
lot of things.
because riding frontwards alone is like you really have to like see what's coming to like be able to brace yourself for some of the like the transitions because otherwise you get like, your head banging into the over the shoulder restraints. But going backwards, I can't imagine that's
Oh,
comfortable.
going backwards, it's almost like one would say it might be a mind eraser. Just
Yeah.
thing, throwing out the
Yeah.
Vekoma
Yeah.
references, starting
So,
in hot.
but yeah, I'm just gonna back up a little bit because I want to talk about a little bit. So about the first year Jazzline was open. So
Yes.
they decided to build the park and it got approval in 1998. It took
Hmm.
18 months to build. The park debuted in May of 2000, I believe.
Hmm.
Uh, and when it opened, it had four coasters. It had Megazeph, which was a CCI wooden coaster. It had Muskrat Scrambler, which was a Wild Mouse coaster. Zydeco Scream, which is the boomerang, which I believe was that also moved from another park.
Yes, it came from it looks like a park in Spain is
Yeah,
where it came
okay,
from.
yeah,
But yeah, it's still rotting on that land as we speak.
right. And then the fourth coaster was Rex's Rail Runner, which is a kids coaster, which
Yes.
so then Jazzland operated in 2000, 2001. That's when they went up for sale. Six Flags took over. And then starting in 2003, I believe that's when the name switched over to Six Flags New Orleans.
Yes, that is correct.
And then they kept the name Megazeph. And I did Muskrat Scrambler and Zydeco Scream. Those kept those names, I believe, right?
Yes, they stayed the same.
Rex's Rail
The
Runner changed to
Roadrunner Express.
Roadrunner Express, right?
And it has since that one has since been relocated to Magic Mountain, and it's still known as Roadrunner Express.
Correct, correct.
One of
Yeah,
my credits. One of my
yeah.
credits.
I don't have that one yet.
Hey, it's a real hoot, I'll tell you
Right.
that.
And then like you were saying before, Six Flags, they began investing into the park by adding Batman the Ride
Yep.
and Jester.
Yes.
Uh, one of the biggest complaints about Jazzland was there wasn't much shade in the park,
Hmm.
and especially in the walkways. So people, were complaining about like the blistering hot sun. You can imagine me in Louisiana in the summer; it gets so hot and muggy down there. So that was another thing that Six Flags came in and did is they covered a lot of the walkways with shaded structures. They added Batman the Ride, they added Jester, like you said, and then another ride that was already there was their drop tower. It was like a S&S drop tower.
Yep. It sure was.
Can't remember what the names were.
It's Bayou Blaster, excuse me, and Sonic Slam. So it was kind of a like a power tower situation where you have
Yeah,
a drop and you have a shoot or a shot.
right.
Some call it shoddy, uh,
Yeah, Shoddy. Yeah.
shoddy and droppy. But
That
yeah,
ride, that one lives on.
yes, it is Sasquatch and Great Escape. Also something I have ridden. So
All right.
yes, that one it's actually not that impressive.
Oh.
But that's okay. It was pretty innovative for its time.
Hmm.
So, you know,
And that was a ride that was there with Jazzland, I think.
yes.
Okay, yeah. And then did Six Flags rename it like anything Warner Brother or Looney Tunes or anything?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
But I'll double check on that. But I do know that right now, it is still Sasquatch at
Yeah.
Great Escape. So
And I know another thing that Six Flags did when they took over the park. So Jazzland was divided into five areas. Uh, a lot of it was like kind of New Orleans themed. I think Six
mhm.
Flags came in and kind of rethemed some of those areas. They changed the kid area to a Looney Tunes theme, and then of course with the addition of Batman, they added like a DC superhero area, which
Yeah.
also they added like a Catwoman's whip, ride, and then there was a Joker ride. I forget what it was called, but it was like a flat ride.
Yes, they had it was called Joker's Wild Card, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, one of the Jokers back there.
Yeah.
Joker's Jukebox, that's what it
That's
was.
right. Yeah, it's
It
Joker's
was a
jukebox.
yeah, it was a Schwarzkopf polyp. I believe is how you say that word.
Right. Yeah, and like you sat in kind of little vehicles that look like little cars,
Yeah, it looked
and
like it kind of looked like a troika, like a more
yeah,
mild troika kind
yeah,
of
that was
deal.
the impression I got as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Six Flags New Orleans operated from 2003, 2004, and then 2005. Now, from what I've read, Six Flags was about to make the announcement that for the 2006 season, they were going to be announcing a large expansion of a water park.
Yes.
So in August, I think it was around August 25th or so, 21st, something like that. At that time, they had gone to weekend operations only because schools had started, so they were only open on the weekends. And then the reports of Hurricane Katrina were in the news, and the prediction was it was going to make a direct hit on New Orleans.
Hmm.
So the park closed.
Hmm.
And if you are anywhere near the park now, you can drive by. I don't know if the sign still says it, but for a long time, the marquee on the sign for Six Flags New Orleans said "closed for storm,"
Yes.
which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, they closed for the storm. Um, Hurricane Katrina did at the last minute kind of head more towards the east, so it didn't make a direct impact on New Orleans. It made more of a direct impact in Mississippi, like in Gulfport and Biloxi. And I think it was a category 4 when it hit land. The main issue that happened with Hurricane Katrina, though, was the flooding.
Yes. That was the
So,
big issue. And if you see the pictures, I'm sure a lot of enthusiasts have, seen some variety of pictures or aerial shots of the park after Katrina hit it. I mean, it just absolutely devastated that whole
yeah,
plot. And I think a large part of that had to do with how close. I mean, Adam, you and I have both driven past Six Flags New Orleans. We know how close it is to the water. I mean, New Orleans as a whole is just right there.
yeah, it
Um,
is.
and it just completely flooded that area. And for being a park that was so close to a major body of water and a very hurricane prone city and region, you'd think that they would have had better irrigation systems.
Right.
But that was something that really just from the basic infrastructure, when they built Jazzland, they really failed to build a good irrigation system to prevent massive flooding and massive water collecting like what happened with Katrina. So
So, New Orleans, the main reason it flooded was because the levees failed. They broke in a few places, so all this water rushed in. Six Flags New Orleans was actually built in one of the lowest areas of New Orleans. And
yeah,
so it ended up once, it got, and also Six Flags New Orleans, from what I read, it had a pump system in place to pump out water if it flooded, but that also failed. And I don't know
yes,
if it just got so overwhelmed that it couldn't keep up. But Six Flags New Orleans ended up being about 8 feet underwater.
yes. Which I mean, at that point, you can just call the park literally a wash. I mean, it's done. 8 feet is the whole park is 8 feet underwater. Just think about that. I mean, that's going to ruin all your
All your
mechanical
shops.
boxes and
Oh,
all of your
right, everything, yeah.
shops and
Well,
you know,
yeah, imagine if you're standing in the park and an average person is around 5'10" or 6 feet,
mhm.
then imagine water being an additional 2 feet above your head.
Oh, it's just crazy. I mean, Six Flags had to have just known that it was over. Once they
Yeah,
saw the storm hit, they had to have just known, okay, there's no saving this one.
right. And I think once the insurance company came in, weeks later after the storm kind of passed and the water had kind of subsided, they determined that the park was about an 80% loss,
Yes.
which pretty much is it wasn't worth saving. Now, one of the things that I read that helped save Batman was that it was built on like a larger concrete pad off the ground, and also since the coasters raised up off the ground, that's what saved that coaster. And then like Sasquatch, I'm not. I think maybe similar reasons it was able to be saved. I would assume that like the Roadrunner Express that was probably underwater,
Yeah, I would have imagined. I'm actually not sure how they would have determined to salvage that one.
Yeah. But as far as, most of the flat rides, all of the shops, games, all the, infrastructure was just completely destroyed.
Yeah, and there was no saving it. And you've had people over the years. Gosh, it's been sitting there now for 15 years. You've had people over the years say, "Oh, we're gonna start a committee and get funding and bring back the park or revive it in some way." But to this day, it's still rotting there. The city of New Orleans is the sole owner of that land now, and they have not taken anyone's proposal to take over that land and revive it in some way. So who
Right.
knows when or if it will be up and running.
I'm pretty sure this is true. Six Flags purchased the park for only $22 million,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy to think, how that seems like a lot of money. But if you think about like most modern day B&M coasters are about 20 million.
Right.
So,
That's considerably cheap
right. So to buy
for an entire
a whole
park.
park, yeah, to buy a whole park for that much is a heck of a deal. But a part of that contract, though, they had a contract with New Orleans that they would own and operate and manage that park and the land for 75 years.
Yes.
But of course, once the Hurricane Katrina hit, destroyed the park, the insurance company determined that the park was a total wash. I think
Mm-hmm.
they were only paid back about $8 million on their
Yeah.
insurance
Yeah.
claim.
It
Uh,
really wasn't much in comparison.
no. And then, so there was this fight that Six Flags had with the city of New Orleans, like they tried to get out of the contract. Eventually, they came to an agreement, and I believe Six Flags had to pay New Orleans about $3 million to get out of the contract.
Yes.
And then, since then, like the first time I went to New Orleans was about 2009 or 2010. So this was 5 years after Katrina. I was amazed to see like the devastation that was still lasting 5 years later after the hurricane.
Yeah.
And I went past Six Flags New Orleans because it's right by the highway, and you can still see Megas F there. You can still see like Zydeco Scream. Like it's all still standing. And it's really bizarre to see in person. And then I went back to New Orleans in 2014 or 15, and the park is still there. I mean, still you could see Megas F and the shell of what the park used to be. And it's for the longest time like the city couldn't figure out what to do with it, and they had a few different proposals which I wrote down. So in 2009 there was a proposal which was initially passed to turn the land into a Nickelodeon themed water park and theme park,
Mm.
and then that ended up falling through. I'm not sure what happened, but that would have been interesting to see. And like Mall of America, they have a Nickelodeon themed park, and then the new one in New Jersey, American Dream Mall,
American Dream Mall. Yeah. Uh-huh.
that's also Nickelodeon themed. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if they have any outdoor themed Nickelodeon parks. So this might have been the first one
It might have been
that I
that.
know of
Yeah.
in America, anyways.
Yes. Right.
But that fell through, and then there was a proposal in 2012 to do an outlet mall called Jazzland Outlet Mall. And with that proposal, I think that one got the most traction, and it seemed like for a while that's what was going to happen to the land. They were going to try to salvage some of the rides. It was going to be mostly an outlet mall with some rides, the ones that they could salvage. That ended up falling through as well. And then the other proposals that kind of been brought up were proposals to open the park back up as Jazzland. So they were going to kind of slim the park back down and then open it back as Jazzland, similar to how it was when it opened in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I could find on the internet, that was kind of all the different ideas they had for the park. Nothing's happened still. Last I read in June of 2019, the city had decided, or is getting close to deciding, that they were just going to demolish the park as it stands. I'm not sure if that happened or not.
No, it did not. And they are still, I think, trying to figure out just with different developers and whatnot, like what exactly would be the next step. Like, okay, we'll demolish it. We'll put forth this amount of money to demolish it.
Right.
Here's what you'll put forth to develop. I don't know. So I think they're still trying to battle that out with whoever might be the other side of
Yeah.
it.
And the cost to demolish the park would be a little bit over $1 million. So
Yes.
That's the
Yep.
problem. Now, I wonder if any of those rides are still salvageable. Like,
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people illegal footage. I will say that.
yes,
I mean,
there's a lot of
people
illegal footage.
don't break into the park, you'll get prosecuted.
Hmm.
It's just that's a word to the wise. I believe me, when I went in
It's so
2016,
tempting. Yeah.
I was so tempted, but
Yeah.
man, I'm not trying to go to jail. Anyway, so,
Right.
so people, they enter the park at their will, and some of those rides really look like they could be in good shape. Maybe just need a fresh coat of paint, but
Right. Yeah. Just
you
cleaned
never
up.
know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure some of the people that have broken into the park, they might have vandalized some of the rides, and I'm sure,
Sure.
of course, all the electrical work would have to be redone, probably some track repair. But like
Hmm.
with Megazeth, a lot of that coaster is pretty high off the ground. I wonder, and that has a metal support structure with a wooden track. So like a part of me wonders like if that's something that can be saved if someone were to buy that land with intentions on turning it back into an amusement park.
Yeah.
Would that be a
Yeah.
ride that would be saved?
Yeah, that would be. I mean, hey, they got the new track from GCI out, so
Oh yeah.
could be a
Right.
Titan track. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Titan track, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm candidate.
But a couple fun things though that have been used for the park. So like we're saying, you can look on YouTube and there's some really cool footage of the park that people have gotten illegally. They've snuck into the park. But there's really cool footage. It's really bizarre to see. Like it looks like a scene out of a zombie movie.
Yeah,
So it works great for movies about like an apocalypse or something. So Six Flags New Orleans has been used for movies Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Jurassic World, and Percy Jackson in the Sea of Monsters. So, and then a couple
yeah.
others kind of smaller budget ones. I think one with Nick Cage. I forget what it was called, but
Oh yeah. What? Okay, yeah. I remember seeing that. I don't remember which one it was though.
yeah, but
Yeah,
that's pretty cool though. I mean, it's perfect for any kind of like zombie destruction type of environment that you want because it looks really creepy.
it really does.
But
And
I would love to check it out. I mean,
yes,
it's so bizarre to see the park because, it was just abandoned as is one day and never no, nothing ever happened. So it's just crazy because, to think that people are expecting to go back to work or go back to the
yeah.
park or whatever, and it just never reopened.
Yeah, it's really wild, and it really truly is eerie. If you're ever down toward Louisiana, we recommend legally
Yeah.
observing the
Yes.
land and just driving by. I mean, you really do get a good view from the highway, but you can also pull off one of those streets and kind of look and see what you can. But
Yeah.
it's incredibly eerie, very cool sight as well at the same time. In a way, I'll be kind of bummed when they do demolish it just because of the history behind it, but that's just the nostalgic nature of me, I guess. Because
Right.
obviously it would be better suited as something else business wise.
It will be sad. I'm hoping, same with Jaga Lake, if it does ultimately end up being leveled and they do something with that land other than an amusement park, I hope whatever happens, they pay some kind of nod to Six Flags New Orleans or Jazzland, either by keeping some, artifacts from the park or, something, a museum or something, so
Yes.
people can go and remember what was there before.
Absolutely. And one of these times, one of these episodes, we're gonna have to talk about Opryland because my
Yes.
understanding is they've paid homage to the park, but there's like a mall now on that plot. I don't want to get too deep down that rabbit hole, but
We'll talk
I think
about
you
it.
can do it well. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
that's another episode. So
So, of the coasters that were removed from the park and moved to other Six Flags parks, we talked about it a little bit. So, Goliath is at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. I've been
mhm.
on that. I have that credit. You do as well, right?
I don't have that
You
one. I haven't
don't.
been to
Okay.
Six Flags Yes Texas since like 2006. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
But
unfortunately.
you do have the Jester credit though.
No, I
Wait.
never got it. I was never tall enough. I remember just
Oh, you
really
never wrote it.
admiring it.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
yeah, I was just like,
Oh,
this
bummer.
is just a really cool pink coaster at the time.
Yeah, it was
So
pink. Yeah.
yeah, so
Okay.
no, never got to ride that. The only credit I have from Jazzland, that's the coaster, is
Is
Roadrunner.
oh well, I wouldn't brag
Woo!
about that.
I'll keep that back to myself.
Well, and Sasquatch, you were saying, right?
Sasquatch, but yeah, for a flat ride, yeah.
At Great Escape, right
Yes, at
up
Great
in New
Escape.
York. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. I've been on Goliath. I mean, if you've been on a Batman clone, you've been on all of them. I think this one's
Right.
a mirror clone of most of the Batman clones.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's a clone, but it's slightly different in that, yeah, it's like a mirror clone or something like that. Like something's because even when I look at it, I'm like, something's not
Hmm.
right. You know what I
Well,
mean?
well, even the fact that it's not a Batman theme anymore, and it's not like
Right,
gray or black or dark blue. It's like bright yellow and a brighter blue color. So that
right,
alone makes it seem like it's something different, but even though it's not, it's just the same thing with a different name. But
exactly.
it's a good layout for being an invert. I mean, it's short and compact, but it packs a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it was on my list this year, but we all know how this year went, so maybe
Yeah.
next year.
And I thought it'd be fun to play a couple commercials from
Yes.
the park. So the first I'm going to play is from the year 2000, and it was an ad for Jazzland. So we're going to check this out. I watched it a little bit earlier. It's it makes me feel old because in 2000, let's see, I was 15 years old in
Good
2000.
grief.
How old were you, Nick?
I was oh geez, 7.
7. Okay. So it's crazy because when you think back to the year 2000, like I have pretty vivid memories of it, but like watching this commercial, it's like seems so outdated. Like it might as well be from the 80s. It's pretty funny. It's kind of cheesy, but here we go. Let's watch this commercial from Jazzland.
Spend the day at Jazzland Theme Park where the fun is in full blast.
I gotta do that again!
Jazzland in New Orleans on I-10 at the I-510 exit is filled with thrills for the whole family.
Serious ride.
30 incredible rides and spectacular entertainment.
This is great!
Come for the thrills, stay for the fun at Jazzland. Open daily at 10 a.m.
I just like how the kids in the commercial, I mean, they're obviously not great at acting. So it's just like, I got to do that again. That was great.
Gee golly, that was sure
Yeah.
swell.
Like they wanted it to seem like, they just went up to people in the park like randomly, but you could tell it wasn't, like it was totally scripted. But yeah, but that little jingle at the end, get your fill of thrills at Jazzland.
At Jazzland, yeah.
It's really a bummer because that Jazzland wasn't able to survive, and then eventually Six Flags took it over. And I will say, like looking at footage of the park, either videos or photos before Katrina, I think the park it was like a pretty location. It had a lot of potential. Had Jazzland been more successful, obviously they would have, still had to deal with Katrina. And I don't know if, anything would have happened differently if they had owned it, like if they would have been able to reopen it sooner or been more committed to reopening it. But I mean, it's really unfortunate because I think the park had a lot of potential. And I really liked the theme of New Orleans because the city of New Orleans is one of my favorite to visit just because it's so unique in the United
Yeah,
States. Yeah, so it's unfortunate.
it really is, man. I think that there's not a whole lot. This is no disrespect to New Orleans, but I feel like Jazzland or Six Flags New Orleans was just what that city needed.
Yeah,
Because especially since Katrina kind of wiped out so much of that city, and there's not been a whole lot being rebuilt. Like,
right.
it was something positive for the kids and for the
Right.
families and whatnot, especially in that area. So it's just a shame that there's not been any real forward motion in getting.
It really is too bad. And I'm gonna play this commercial from 2003 of Six Flags New Orleans. But after this, I do want to talk about, maybe like what we think could happen in the future, what we would want,
Yes.
just briefly. Before that, let's play this commercial from Six Flags. So this would have been the first year of full operation by Six Flags. I also watched this commercial earlier, and it's weird because when you think of, or when I think of Six Flags commercials, I think of like Mr. Six and like super annoying and like
Yeah.
high, like
Da, da, da,
high,
da, da,
yeah,
da, da.
yeah, like super high energy and like just
Yeah.
like kind of not good. But this one it's like it reminds me more of something that, like a Disney park would do. It like the tone is like really mellow and it's like really family oriented. So
Yeah.
we'll check it out, but and maybe you'll see what I mean. But it's just totally different than when I think of Six Flags. But here we go.
Oh boy. Yes.
Like they're really trying to pull at your heartstrings.
They are, man.
Six Flags invites you to experience our newest world-class theme park, Six Flags New Orleans.
Wow.
Where 14 new attractions
There's the
include
inverter.
two
Yeah.
incredible
Batman.
coasters,
Some cool
Batman
flat
the Ride and the Jester. Plus, Batman Thrill Spectacular, the thrill of meeting
Oh, yeah.
Batman.
Oh wow, that was
And
so
Looney
Disney.
Tunes Adventures for kids.
Yeah.
The glitter coming out of it.
I like the slow motion Tweety Bird.
Oh man. Yes.
It's so like wannabe Disney.
It really was. That was so strange.
Yeah, it's I like the slow motion of Tweety Bird.
Yes.
Yeah, like the tone is so different than what Six Flags is now because I wasn't gonna play it, but now I think we should. Six Flags commercial from 2004. So this is the following year.
Yeah.
Totally different tone. You can already see
Therefore, the middle integer.
the
Oh, yeah.
Six Flags bus pulling up.
largest integer
Yeah,
and
jeez.
two-thirds.
Oh, and this old bald man's getting
Yeah,
out.
summer is here.
Such a weird time.
It was.
What
And it's time
Wow.
for fun.
And
Yeah.
remember America just this
Right
guy
now,
up.
save up to $15 on tickets to Six Flags New Orleans with coupons
So
from
weird.
participating
So
Wendy's
crazy looking.
restaurants.
Oh,
So
definitely something of
Six
nightmare.
Flags New Orleans.
yes,
It's
as you
playtime.
can see, it was like a totally different tone.
Oh, I
And I
did
don't-
not like that.
No, I wonder what maybe 2004 was the first year that Mr. Six was featured in a commercial.
It must have been, and
Yeah.
it must have been right around like 06 that he stopped because oh boy, I was excited.
Right.
When he,
It's
Oh.
terrible. So as I said before, so it looks like right now, they don't really know what to do with the land. It seems more and more likely that whatever happens, the land is going to be possibly demolished.
Yeah.
And then whatever's going to happen, they're going to start over from scratch. So with that in mind, I do think that region would really benefit from an amusement park because so I have a family member that lives down in that region in Gulfport, Mississippi, which is about an hour east of New Orleans. And he has absolutely no amusement parks near him. And I couldn't do it. The closest amusement park to New Orleans is OWA, which is in Alabama. Yes.
yeah.
And that even from New Orleans to OWA is 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And as far as I know, they have one coaster, maybe two.
I thought just one, but maybe there's two. Yeah, there's
This-
not many, if anything. I mean,
Right. I know for sure they have one. I forget what it's called. But anyways, it has some inversions and stuff. It looks like a decent ride.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but and maybe they have a family ride, a family coaster. I know they have some flats. Anyways, that's a pretty new park. It opened, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, and they have announced some expansions. They're expanding with a water park right now. So, but I mean, that's a long ways away from being anything worth driving more than an hour to visit. Like,
Right.
there's no way I would want to go 3 hours to OWA.
No.
So as far as the closest major parks to New Orleans, the closest one would be Alabama Splash Adventure, which is 4.5 hours away.
Jeez.
And that has like Rampage, I think, is their main
Yeah.
coaster, which is a wooden.
That's the main one.
Yeah, and I think they've been teasing something new for 2021, and people are thinking that it's a coaster.
Yeah.
And I think they have other ones other than Rampage. Like they probably have a Boomerang or something. I don't know. And they have a water
something
park.
like that. Yeah.
But again, like to me, it's not worth driving 4.5 hours to go visit.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I think, like you said, I mean, there needs to be something right around the Gulf Coast. And I feel like New Orleans is like a good epicenter for that region.
Oh, sure, yeah. Because
The issue,
Gulfport,
though, that-
yeah,
yeah, the issue that you have obviously is storms and hurricanes and things like that.
Hurricanes,
But
right.
how does Florida survive? Like
Right.
take a page from all the many parks that are in Florida that are
Right.
surviving with that. So
well, Yeah, I mean that's a really popular area. New Orleans, obviously, Gulfport, Mississippi is a large city. They get a lot of tourists there because they have casinos and all that kind of stuff. Um, and again, these are major parks. I'm sure there's gonna be other like kind of smaller water parks or smaller amusement parks in the area. But as far as major parks, really the closest one worth driving to, in my opinion, would be Six Flags over Georgia, but that's still 7 hours away, or
Hmm.
Six Flags Fiesta Texas, which is 8 hours.
Yeah,
And
that's just
you
that
also,
sucks.
yeah, you also have SeaWorld in San Antonio, which Fiesta Texas is in San Antonio. Now, Houston was, I think, about 5 hours from New Orleans, 4 or 5 hours, and they used to have
And then you got
Astro
Astro
World, but
World.
that's gone.
Yeah,
So, but and
that's
I
gone.
know, like in Galveston, Texas, they have a park there. I forget what it's called. It's on a
The
pier.
Galveston Pier. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and they have a coaster there. I know a couple. So I mean, but again, there's really not much in the area. I know they have a water
Yeah.
park in like near Gulfport, but I mean, if you're a coaster enthusiast, like you're in a desert of nothing.
Right.
Like you have to
Yeah. It would be
fly to go to
horrible.
parks. I mean, you could drive to Florida, but I think, to get to Tampa or Orlando, you're looking at an 8, 9 hour drive.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally could not do it. It would be
No.
so hard. I think, man, if I'm New Orleans and I'm trying to rebuild the city even now, or I'm trying to come up with new developments, I would really look into finding somebody that can revive that and make it a park again, or even if it's not on that land, like
Yeah.
land nearby. Like,
Like
there's got to be an answer.
Baton Rouge, maybe.
Baton Rouge, yeah, or Shreveport. I don't know anything about Shreveport or
Yeah,
anything, but Louisiana is a good location for a park.
it is.
For Alabama and Mississippi, and for the eastern part of Texas, it just kind of is a good meeting place for
Yeah, and
those regions.
you could be open year round. I would invest in a water park
Absolutely,
because
yeah,
it gets hot, but yeah, it's absolutely a prime area for a park.
yeah. So I guess to summarize, I think my theory is it might be soon. It might be in 50 years, but I
Yeah,
think there'll be another park coming there, because prior to Jazzland, there was a park, and then they went for a little while without one, Lake Pontchartrain, as it
yes,
was known. And then they went without one for a while, and then Jazzland came, and obviously that we're just talking about that. But I do think that there is like some real possibility that another park will come.
yeah, it's absolutely possible. And I don't know if OWA has major plans to expand into a major park.
Yeah,
Time will tell, but that would be cool. But it would definitely be something like if I were a Six Flags or a Cedar Fair or something, or SeaWorld Entertainment, like look into it because there's a large market there that's not being tapped into. So
absolutely. I think of all the potential like abandoned parks situations in the country, I feel like that area has the most potential.
it does.
Because Geauga Lake, obviously, we talked about
Tons of
this
competition
last time.
there.
Tons of problems there.
Yeah.
It would be hard to rebuild that.
Yes.
But you could salvage some from the current Six Flags New Orleans, build some new stuff, and really
Yeah.
kind of redevelop that whole area. So
Yeah. There's not much competition, so it'd be hard to fail, I guess.
yeah.
But, yeah.
Those of you who are listening, tell us what you think is going to happen, because we could talk about this all night long. We really love to theorize.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to this empty plot of land? There's got to be
Yes.
something.
What is going to happen? And if you have been to this park, let us know what your thoughts were of the park, because Nick and I didn't get the chance to, so all we have is photos and videos. I'm sad that I didn't get to visit the park.
I am too. It was even when it was open, I thought, man, that would be a really cool park.
Right.
But I'm bummed that I never got to go.
Yeah, so been there. Let us know what your thoughts were of the park. If you haven't been there, let us know what your thoughts are of the future of the land. We really appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram page and Twitter at Airtime Misfits. We also have a website at airtimemisfits.com. You can find some of the cool merch that we've been making over there. Again, we appreciate you listening. We will see you in episode 3. Thanks a lot, guys.
Coming soon. See ya.